Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, councillors. Good evening, members of the public. Welcome to the annual council of the Council of the Isles of Scilly. As you may know, Councillor Mrs. Amanda Martin has expressed an interest in being the chairman of council for the ensuing year, which means that she cannot be in the chamber for this item. Therefore, I have the privilege to take nominations for the role of Chairman of Council of the Isles of Scilly.
Okay, I'd like to propose Councillor Mrs. Martin to be Chairman of the Council.
Thank you. And that's seconded. Any further nominations? No? Can I take a vote then? Those voting for? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. I will ask the chairman to... And we now proceed with the declaration of acceptance of office.
I, Amanda Jane Martin, having been elected to the office of Chairman of the Council of the Isles of Scilly, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
This declaration was made and signed before me, Theo Leijzer, the proper officer of the Council of the Isles of Scilly. Thank you.
Thank you. Please be seated. I'd just like to say, before I welcome Bishop Budd to say the prayers, thank you very much for showing again your confidence in me, and I hope that I will prove myself worthy of that confidence. Thank you. I'd like to ask Bishop Budd if he would say the prayers for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm your stand-in chaplain for the night with Charlie and Perrin both on the mainland. I had the privilege of doing it 2 years ago, so thank you. I've got two prayers. One connected with the Queen's 90th birthday, which I hope you will be patient with me, because we are actually between the real birthday and the official birthday. And I was invited very kindly to actually go to the flag raising ceremony on the real birthday. Almighty God, we pray that your servant Elizabeth, our Queen, who by your providence has received the governance of this realm, may continue to grow in every virtue, that imbued with your heavenly grace, she may be preserved from all that is harmful and evil, and being blessed with your favour, may, with her consort and royal family, come at last into your presence through Christ our Lord. Amen. A prayer for yourselves, which I've taken from one of the letters of Paul, the one to the Christians at Philippi. Fill my mind, Lord, with those things that are true, things in keeping with your holiness, things that are honourable, things that are right and just, things that are pure, things that are lovely, things that are noble. If there is anything admirable, anything of excellence, anything worthy of praise, let me think on these things, so that your peace may be with us all. Amen.
Thank you very much.
Okay, shall I just...
If you'd like to go that way.
Thank you.
Sorry. We'll proceed with agenda item 4, election of the vice chairman. Councillor Mrs Mumford, your light's on.
Councillor Sims, in my opinion, has worked hard and is extremely conscientious. Perhaps a little unorthodox at times, which may upset some members. But there can be no doubt his heart is in Scilly. I believe we need continuity at this time to take us through to 2017. Then there will be election and the public will decide. I therefore propose Councillor Sims for the position of Vice Chairman.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor Mawson.
Yeah, I would like to propose Councillor O'Neill. I've known Councillor O'Neill for a long time, on and off council. I think he is a bastion for change. I do believe that this council does need to adopt a change in these challenging times. As much as I admire what Councillor Sims has done, I think Councillor O'Neill will fulfil change with drive and ambition. I therefore am pleased to propose him.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Grottick.
Thank you. I'm happy to second Councillor O'Neill. I too am mindful of the contribution Councillor Sims has made to this authority, but I believe we need to move forward in a more collegiate manner, and I believe electing Councillor O'Neill to this important role will move us forward, aid communication.
Thank you. Without wishing to be rude, I think it's not usual for the seconders to make a speech. It's more usual for the proposers.
In that case, I apologise if I have stepped outside the protocols.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations? No? In that case, I'm going to proceed with a vote. We have 2 proposals and 2 seconders. So I will take them in the order that they've come. Those in favour of Councillor Sims as Vice Chairman of this Council, please show clearly. And please leave your hands in the air for the count. 6. Thank you. Those in favour of Councillor Owen? Sorry, is there a problem? Right. Those in favour of Councillor O'Neill, please show clearly. 5. All right. I'd like to thank Councillor O'Neill for putting his name into the hat, as it were, and invite Councillor Sims to the... Can you put the thing...
I, Stephen Mark Sims, having been elected to the office of Vice Chairman of the Council of the Isles of Scilly, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and my ability.
You need to read it and you need to see it.
This declaration was made and signed before me, Theo Leijzer, the proper officer of the Council of the Isles of Scilly.
Thank you. Agenda item 6, minutes of previous meeting. To confirm as a correct record the minutes of the Council of the Isles of Scilly on the 8th of December 2015. And to confirm as a correct record the minutes of the Council of the Isles of Scilly on the 7th of March 2016. Councillor Mrs Saville.
Chairman, I'm willing to propose the minutes of the 8th of the 12th of 2015 as a correct record.
Thank you. Is that seconded? Thank you, Councillor Guy. Thank you very much. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. There remains the minutes of the 7th of March 2016.
I wasn't here, Chairman.
Yeah. Councillor Mrs Grottick.
Thank you, Chairman. A small point on page 21, please. Right down the bottom, where the cost of demolition of Carn Thomas is discussed. I felt that members were initially advised that the contribution would be in the region of 75,000, not the full cost. And that was a contribution from a previous community services agreed item.
Fine, thank you. Councillor Mrs Saville, do you wish to
Oh, sorry, Chairman.
No? In that case, may I know your wishes?
Chairman, if Councillor Mrs Grottick wishes to make an amendment at that point, would it suit to say that when she felt that members were initially advised that the contribution would be in the region of £75,000, would that suit, and is there a seconder?
Yeah.
Yes, that would be fine, thank you.
Is that seconded? Councillor Molson, thank you very much. Those in favour, please show with that amendment. Thank you very much. Declarations of interest. Councillor Molson.
Item 19, Chairman. The applicant is personally known to me, and we have discussed it.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill, I think you're next.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Agenda item 18, pay policy statement, as my partner is a senior manager.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Grottick.
Thank you, Chairman. Should the matter arise, I currently sit for the Council on the Cornwall Partnership Trust.
Thank you very much.
Chairman,
Mrs Pritchard.
is there an interest in item 16?
Thank you. Are there further declarations of interest? No? Right. Thank you very much. Chairman's announcements. As alluded to by our guest, the Bishop Budd, we celebrated Her Majesty's actual birthday recently with the raising of the flag, and thanks to the Reverend Penny Prince, much singing, which was perhaps very fortunate that Penny Prince was there. There will be other community events, I'm sure, to commemorate Her Majesty's official birthday in June, and I would hope that members would join in with that as they see fit. I'm sure we all wish Her Majesty the very best of health and thank her for her service to the community of our country. I don't have any further announcements at the moment, and we shall move on to agenda item 9 to consider reports from committees, including the receipt of minutes and/or draft minutes for information. We commence with Children's Committee, Chairman, Councillor Mrs Saville.
Thank you, Chairman. There are no reports in Part 1, and I present on behalf of the Children's Committee the minutes as listed in Part 2 for the information of Council.
Thank you. Councillor McCarthy had hoped to be with us this evening. Unfortunately, medical appointments have precluded that, so I'd ask his Vice Chairman, Councillor Mrs Grottick, to take the item.
Thank you, Chairman. I present for Council the draft minutes of Community Services. There are no Part 1 reports and Part 2, the draft minutes of the 16th of February 2016.
Thank you very much. Finance, Audit and Scrutiny. Councillor Sims, Chairman.
I present to the Council the minutes of the FAS meeting of the 1st of March 2016, the recent meeting on the 26th. The minutes are not yet prepared.
Thank you very much. Health and Wellbeing. Chairman, Councillor Mrs Saville.
Thank you, Chairman. No reports in Part 1. And the Health and Wellbeing Board presents the minutes as listed in Part 2 for the information of Council.
Thank you. Health Overview Scrutiny Committee. Unfortunately, Councillor Bilsborough is not able to be with us this evening, so I will call upon his Vice Chair, Councillor Nellams.
Thank you, Chairman. I should like to present the minutes. Part 1, there is no report, and Part 2, I'd like to present the draft minutes for the meeting on the 17th of February 2016.
Thank you. The Inshore Fisheries Conservation Authority, Chairman, Councillor Guy.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to present the minutes of the 19th of January and the 3rd of March of the Inshore Fisheries Conservation Authority. There are no reports of Part 1 and I present the draft minutes.
Thank you very much. Licensing Committee, Chairman, Councillor Mrs Peacock.
I'd like to present the minutes on the 11th of February of the Licensing Committee. There's no reports in Part 1 and I've already said I'll present the minutes for the 11th of February.
Thank you. The Planning Committee, Chairman, Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Chairman. There are no reports under Part 1. I'd like to present the minutes of the planning meeting 21st of January and also the 3rd of March for information of Council.
Thank you. Standing Advisory Council for Religious Education, Chairman, Councillor Mrs Saville.
Thank you, Chairman. And there is a report in Part 1. SACRE needs to appoint, or Council needs to agree to the establishment of an agreed syllabus conference for the purpose of reviewing the current syllabus for religious education within the school. So it needs a Council decision that this can go ahead, and I commend it to members.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Peacock, you?
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Are there further comments on this? Councillor O'Neill, did you wish to comment on it?
No.
Councillor Doran-Smith, did you wish to comment on the SACRE thing? No? In that case, it's been proposed and seconded. Those in favour, please show clearly. Thank you. That's carried. Thank you very much.
And Chairman, I now present the minutes of the Standing Advisory Council for Religious Education for the information of Council.
Thank you very much. Transport, Economic Development and Infrastructure, Chairman, Councillor Doran-Smith.
Thank you, Chairman. I present the minutes in Part 2 for the meeting of Teddy on the 1st of March. There are no reports in Part 1.
Thank you very much. There are no written questions that I'm aware of, unless we've received... No, thank you. No motions in accordance with Standing Order 5. I have no urgent items. No, thank you. Members' updates. Do we have any updates from members in the room? No? Councillor Simmons.
I have attended 2 meetings of the Local Enterprise Partnership. The first one, I think the major thing of note was that the chairman of LEP, Mark Dudridge, is now actually representing the islands in the island's future part of it, so that's quite useful because sometimes it's not particularly viable to get to meetings and it's good to have him on it. And the second meeting, not a huge amount to report, however the Growth Hub has just kicked in, so hopefully the LEP will get a bit more legs fairly soon.
Thank you. And the LEP will meet in Scilly on the 18th of May, I believe. Yeah, thank you. Councillor Mrs Grottick, you wish to...
Thank you, Chairman. This is a report in my role as representative for the Council on the Cornwall Partnership Trust. I have attended 2 meetings of the Trust since my last report to full Council in December. The December meeting was primarily concerned with a comprehensive report on the recent Care Quality Commission report in respect of the Trust. I am happy to report that the Trust received a good rating, with an outstanding rating in aspects of care provided. The March meeting discussed progress towards coalition arrangements which have commenced on April the 1st, 2016, and included commissioning arrangements which members will appreciate in respect of St Mary's Hospital. The Council were then given a presentation by Dr Elizabeth Myers, the Consultant and Clinical Director of Children's Services. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mrs Peacock.
Yes, I attended a meeting of the CRCC, Cornwall Rural Community Council. Well, it wasn't the outcome, but they did come over in February to present stuff for health and well-being. Somebody has since been over and been around the islands seeking to help people who have difficulty with electricity and energy. And on St Agnes, certainly, they've been very helpful to the residents. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you. Councillor Mrs Saville.
Thank you, Chairman. A brief report from the Island Partnership. The Island Partnership have appointed James Beresford, who was the former Chief Executive of Visit England, as their non-executive director and their chairman of the board. He has attended his first meeting only a couple of weeks ago, but he will be the chairman going forward. And also currently the May Festival is in process. I hope people are aware of this, which is a festival of art, literacy and crafts, etc. It is a month-long festival. I reported to members, or probably 12 months ago now, that the Island Partnership had been awarded some funding to develop events, and this is their first one, and another one is following at the end of August.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mrs Grottick, did you wish to come in again?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to be sure I hadn't cut you off too early. Councillor Mrs Mumford.
I'd just like to say that I'm having to stand down from the lead member for Children's Services. This is personal reasons. I have enjoyed it so much, and I would very much like to have carried on, but it's not in my interests at the moment to be able to carry on. I think members will know that we've had an Ofsted inspection, and I think the result is due in June. And let's all keep our fingers crossed that it's good. And I'd like to thank all those that I've worked with as well, in all the children's services, especially Aisling and Lynn Plummer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just a very brief update on the current situation with the Local Nature Partnership. We haven't, as you may well be aware, attended any meetings for some time, but hopefully members will be aware there's an email gone around recently that there is a proposal coming to Council soon to the effect of the AONB on Scilly taking over that function, so watch this space, as it were.
Thank you. The AONB meeting was this afternoon.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
in that case, please inform me as to whether or not the AONB are now representing the Council on the Local Nature Partnership.
Well, I would, except that was the item I gave my thoughts and had to leave, so I'm just thinking, I'm not sure if there's an officer here who was present. That will follow to members, so, yeah, but nonetheless, it was on the agenda for this item, for this afternoon. Right, if there are no further updates, then we'll move into part 1, reports requiring a decision. Agenda item 14, appointments to committees.
Thank you, Chairman. This is the annual appointment report. Before we start, I'd like members to note that Councillor Dorian Smith has given me an indication that he's interested in standing for TEDI, Transport, Environmental Development Infrastructure, and Councillor Mrs Mumford has indicated to me she wishes to stand for Health, Overview and Scrutiny, and Councillor Amanda Martin has indicated to me she wishes to stand for IFCA. So if you could pencil those in as we go along, we'll sort them out.
Thank you.
The first part of this report deals with lead members. And as Councillor Mrs Mumford has said, she has stood down from the lead member of Children's Services. Councillor Mrs Grottick has indicated that she is interested in this.
Thank you. May I know your wishes? Councillor Mrs Peacock.
I'd like to propose Councillor Grottick for this post.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll second that, Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? No? In that case, those in favour, please show. That looks unanimous to me.
And the other appointment for this area, Chairman, is for the lead member for Health and Safety, which was previously Councillor Guy, who has also expressed an interest in continuing with this post.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll propose Councillor Guy.
Thank you. Councillor Molson. Thank you. Are there any other nominations? No. In that case, those in favour, please show clearly. Again, unanimous. Thank you.
And we move on to page 118, Chairman, and start with the Children's Committee, which is 10 elected members. Sorry?
What about the Equality and Diversity Champion?
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologise, Councillor O'Neill. The Equality and Diversity Champion, thank you. Councillor O'Neill was previously in this post, but nobody has expressed an interest in it.
Yes, I apologise, Chairman. It's not my intention, it's not that I don't express an interest in it, it's simply that I have absolutely no interaction with anybody on any level whatsoever since taking over the position, so I'm not entirely sure still yet as to...
I think that's part of the course, actually.
Yeah, I know that's
my
fairly normal. I think
experience.
no news is good news on this front, but however, in much the same vein as the situation we found ourselves in when I was appointed initially, if nobody else is interested in doing it, I'm happy to maintain the status quo on that front. Whilst I do fully understand the seriousness of the role.
I'll propose Councillor O'Neill.
Is that second?
I'm happy to second Councillor O'Neill.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure should the occasion arise, he would fulfil it with due diligence.
Maybe we could take this as a message that something should arise and that these posts should actually be meaningful. That's no reflection on you, just that the...
Yeah, understood.
Thank you.
I think it's encouraging that we haven't had any issues that obviously brought to our attention to warrant involvement from an equality and diversity champion.
Yeah,
We should pat ourselves on the back.
Anyway, we have a proposer and a seconder. Those in favour, please show clearly. Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we will move on to the Children's Committee, which has 10 elected members, at least one from each off-island. Now, I have only had members nominate themselves from St Agnes, St Martin's.
So Mrs Bennett has sat in the previous year on this committee.
Right. So,
So I'm willing to propose Councillor Mrs Bennett.
I would second that.
Thank you.
And Councillor Francis, Councillors Grottick, Molson, Mumford, Peacock and Saville have all indicated an interest in sitting on this committee from St Mary's.
Thank you.
There are still 6 and 8, 2 vacancies, which you may wish to leave.
Is there anybody else who would like to sit on this, or shall we leave those posts vacant? Councillor O'Neill.
Oh, apologies, Chairman.
Councillor Mrs Saville.
Chairman, I'm prepared to propose the St Mary's councillors listed here on block, and I think it might be wise to at least to leave the other seats waiting the result of a by-election.
Right, thank you very much. So, we'll take the vote based on the names on the list already, and with Councillor Mrs Bennett for Briar and Councillor Nellams for Tresco. Those in favour, please show. Thank you, that's unanimous.
And the terms of reference at 7.3, which can be found in the members' pack.
I propose, Chairman.
Thank you. That's seconded. Thank you, Councillor Molson. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much.
Community services, again, one from each off-island, and we have no one nominated from Briar.
I know your wishes. Councillor Mrs Grottick.
May I propose Councillor Mrs Bennett, who has previously served as a Vice Chairman of this committee, even though she's not here today. I understand she would be willing to stand.
Thank you. That's seconded. Councillor Guy, thank you very much. No further, no, in that case we shall leave the other one vacant. Those in favour please show. Thank you, it's unanimous. And the terms of reference? Thank you, is that seconded? Yeah, thank you. Those in favour please show. Thank you very much.
No appointments are required to finance, audit and scrutiny because that's made up from chairman and vice chairman.
Thank you.
Move on to the health overview and scrutiny committee, which includes a nominate.
Terms of reference.
Oh, terms of reference. Yes, we do. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. That second, Councillor Molson. Thank you. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much.
Health overview and scrutiny committee, which includes an interest from Councillor Mrs Mumford.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings you to the 8 positions.
Councillor Mrs Saville.
Chairman, I would propose Councillor Mrs Mumford and those listed on block.
Thank you. Is that seconded? Okay, seconded by Councillor Mrs Grottick. Do you wish to say
Chairman, I did indicate to the administrator, to Mrs Pritchard, that should I be elected to the lead member role, then I would be happy to sit on health overview and scrutiny because I would have to resign my Cornwall Partnership Trust role. So should that be agreeable, I would be happy to be considered for health overview and scrutiny now.
Can I just have some clarification, because there are some roles which preclude sitting on health overview scrutiny?
There are 8 members. The council agreed on 8 members in March 2015, and 9 members in effect with Councillor Mrs Grottick have put their names forward.
Yeah, no, but I just want clarification whether, should that case arise, whether the lead member for children is allowed to sit on health overview scrutiny. I'm just asking for clarification.
Yes.
Yeah. Would one of the officers like to answer my question?
There's no problem with the lead member.
Right, sure. I just wanted to be quite clear before we...
Okay, well, ideally, obviously, the peer review we had of our Health and Wellbeing Board suggests that we shouldn't have people on our Health and Wellbeing Board also sitting on health scrutiny. The thing is, that kind of becomes unworkable for us, and I think all these conflicts become unworkable. Ideally, the lead member for children, ideally, the Director of Community Services wouldn't sit on scrutiny because it's your services they may be scrutinising.
Fine.
But I think my advice would be, the most sensible recommendation is to do it on a case-by-case basis and leave the room if it comes to that. We've very rarely scrutinised children's social care services, for example, or even adult social care services. It's mainly health, so we're going to have to take a call. But ideally, you'd have clear blue water between Health and Wellbeing Board and health scrutiny. But I think it becomes impossible, and I think in order to get the right people doing the right things, let's live with it and take it as we go through each kind of agenda item. And that's been our advice from the LGA.
Thank you. The reason I ask is I know that in the past, the lead member for children was advised not to sit on health overview scrutiny.
I'm very happy to stand down. It's just that I believe that Councillor Mrs Mumford had sat on husk. I'm sorry if I misunderstood.
Yes, but came off it.
Fair enough.
It's entirely a matter for you, Councillor Mrs Grottick, if you wish to put your name forward and we'll call a vote.
No, I'm more than happy. It's just, obviously, I'm interested in that committee, but I am more than happy to take advice and I'm more than happy to stand back.
Fine. On that basis, if you're certain, then we just have the 8 names which can be proposed en bloc. Has that been proposed?
Yes.
Thank you. Right, and seconded by Councillor Molson. Thank you. Those in favour, please show clearly. Thank you.
Thank you. Terms of reference, Chairman, for health.
Terms of reference, yep. Proposed by Councillor Mrs Saville. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Sims. Thank you very much. Those in favour, please show clearly. Thank you.
Terms of reference for the Health and Wellbeing Board.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Sims. Thank you. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much.
Inshore Fisheries and Conservation Authority. Councillor Martin has noted an interest in this. So you've got the three names who were there previously: Councillor Guy, Councillor Nellens and Councillor Mrs Martin.
That proposed. Councillor Mrs. Grottick, thank you. Is seconded. Thank you. Those in favour, please show.
Terms of reference, Chairman.
Proposed by Councillor Guy, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Mrs. Mumford. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much.
Licensing Committee, Chairman. 10 elected members. It is a minimum required by the legislation. We didn't achieve it last year because we had no election. And we should have one from each off-island, and we've only got, we haven't Brian nominated again.
Yeah, I know. Councillor Hicks.
Yes, Chairman, I'm happy to stand again. I was on it last year, and I'm happy to stand again this year.
Thank you very much. Are there any further names coming forward?
Okay.
Councillor Mrs. Saville.
Chairman, I think, legislatively we should have these numbers on this committee. I think members do need to realise that actually it is important that we fill those roles.
If members would consider nominating Councillor Mrs. Bennett as the member for Briar, you could leave perhaps the seat 9 and 10 vacant. It's up to members.
Councillor Miss... No.
Councillor
Miss Andy Guy for one of them.
And I'll second that.
And I would like to decline that. Thank you very much.
Okay, I will propose...
I personally... I will reiterate on that. I have sat on that committee before, and for personal reasons I wish not to sit on that committee.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll propose Councillor Molson.
I'll second that.
I just need for clarification to ask Councillor Molson, do you hold a licence?
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, in that case you
can't.
can't. I'm very sorry, but it's worth checking now rather than... Councillor Mrs. Mumford, did you wish to come? Councillor Mrs. Grottick.
May I propose Councillor Mrs. Bennett for the Briar seat, please?
May I suggest, Chairman, that if we do have a by-election, we prevent any licensees from standing? Because we've got too many.
It is a great problem every year, the number of licence holders who happen to be councillors, yes. Are there any further nominations? It is regrettable that we can't reach 10 in view of the legal requirements on this. Does anybody else feel able to come forward at this point? No?
I would
Mr.
note,
Morrison.
Chairman, that we've got a by-election coming up shortly, and it may be possible to fill those posts from the outcome, leaving us only with a short gap without a full committee.
As provided that the successful candidates are not licence holders.
Yeah, I would happily propose Councillor McCarthy if he was here, Chairman, but I don't know if we can... Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, we shall leave that at the moment at 8. Has that been proposed en bloc so far? Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm told that my arithmetic is faulty. I thought it was 8. No, it's all right. My arithmetic was all right. Proposed en bloc by Councillor Molson, I think. Seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Thank you. Those in favour, please show clearly. Thank you very much.
In terms of reference, Chairman.
Terms of reference proposed by Councillor Molson, seconded by Councillor Mrs. Mumford. Those in favour, please show clearly. Thank you. And we move on to the Planning Committee.
Just the terms of reference, Chairman.
I'll propose.
Proposed by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Mrs. Saville. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. SACRE, Standing Advisory Committee on Religious Education. Just 2 members of council. 2 members have expressed an interest, Councillor Saville and Councillor Peacock.
Councillor O'Neill.
I would like to propose those 2 named councillors, Chairman.
I will second them with my grateful thanks for the work that they do in sitting on the Council for Religious Education. Thank you, ladies. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Transport, Economic Development and Infrastructure. Councillor Dorian Smith has indicated an interest in this as well and would become number 10 on your list. And we need to have one from each off-island again, and we haven't got one from Briar.
It seems very unfair that we put so much onto Mrs. Bennett. However, I am aware that transport is a particular interest of hers. Are you prepared to?
Yes, I would like to propose Councillor Bennett, as you so rightly say, it is a abiding interest of hers.
Thank you.
Second that, Chairman.
Seconded by Councillor O'Neill, thank you. Are there any further nominations? Councillor Hicks, sorry.
Yes, Chairman, I'd like to put up for that committee again. I was on it last year. I'd like to stand on it again.
I'll
propose.
Proposed by Councillor Molson, seconded by Councillor O'Neill, thank you. With that, we have the full complement. So, those in favour, please show. Thank you. And the terms of reference. Proposed by Councillor Molson, thank you. Seconded. Councillor Sims, thank you. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. With that, we move on to agenda item 15, appointments to outside bodies, annual and other appointments.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to draw your attention to page 137, where at 7.8, the Cornwall Partnership NHS Foundation Trust Governor, Councillor Mrs Grottick has agreed that she would stand down in the event of being appointed lead member, which has happened. So we will need to appoint to this. So if you'd like to bear that in mind. And starting on page 130, the Democratic Processes Panel currently consists of 8 members of the Councillors Billsborough, Saville, Mumford, McCarthy, Grottick and the Chairman and Vice Chairman of Council.
May I know your wishes? Councillor Mrs Saville.
Proposed.
Is that seconded? Thank you, Mrs Peacock. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much.
That leaves one seat vacant, Chairman, which, as we have said, can go to somebody who may stand for a by-election. And the terms of reference, please.
Terms of reference, Chairman.
Thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Mrs Grottick, thank you. Those in favour, please show. Thank you.
Homelessness Review Panel, 6 members of Council, previously Councillors Grottick, Peacock, O'Neill, Francis, Thomas and Davis. You need one appointment to this.
May I know your wishes?
Do we not need 2 appointments? Two. Councillor Thomas and Councillor Davis. Well, Mr. Thomas.
Oh, sorry, yes, I'm sorry, you do need 2. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
May I know? Sorry, Councillor Nams, I can't
If
see
you're
through.
too short, I'm happy to be put up for that.
Right, would somebody like to propose Councillor Nellams? Thank you, Councillor Mrs Saville. Is that seconded?
I'll second that, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Do we have a further? Councillor Mrs Mumford.
Could I propose Councillor Guy, please?
Thank you. Is that seconded? Thank you, Councillor Mrs Saville. Right, with that, those in favour, please show. Thank you very much.
Terms of reference, please, Chairman.
Yep.
Proposed, Chairman.
Proposed by Councillor Mrs Saville, thank you. Seconded? Councillor Mrs Peacock, thank you. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much.
Communications Team, 4 members of Council, previously Councillors McCarthy, Sims, Dorian Smith and the Chairman of Council.
Thank you. Councillor Hicks.
Chairman, I'd like to propose Ted Molson in place of Richard McCarthy. I think he's obviously not well at the moment. Is that possible?
Well, it's entirely up to members. Councillor Mrs Grottick.
I haven't had any conversations with Councillor McCarthy, but perhaps I believe he has expressed a wish to slightly reduce his workload, although he has expressed a wish at maintaining his committee roles. Therefore, perhaps this might be a way forward, but I obviously wouldn't like to offend him.
Neither would I.
Well, ultimately, this is a decision of members, so should be. I think we all know that Councillor McCarthy particularly likes communication.
I feel Richard quite like that. Now, I would, my own opinion would be to maintain the status quo, and if Richard doesn't wish to do it, then we can change it later on.
To withdraw to take over from him at a later date.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. On that basis, thank you very much. That's very kind. Thank you. In that case, can I have a proposer en bloc? Councillor Mawson, thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Guy, thank you very much. Those in favour, please show. Thank you. And then the terms of reference. Councillor Mawson, thank you. Seconded. Councillor Guy, thank you. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much.
And then we come to the annual appointments, Chairman. The Cornwall Rural Community Council, the Board of Trustees, previously Councillor Mrs Peacock.
Proposed, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Hicks, did you wish to say something, or is your...
No, sorry.
Right. No, that's fine. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. That's unanimous.
National Association of Areas of Outstanding Natural Beauty is the Chairman of Planning Committee. And the Isles of Scilly AONB Joint Advisory Committee is the Chairman and Vice Chairman of the Planning Committee. The Strategic Group for the Isles of Scilly Community Safety Partnership is the lead member for Community Safety. South West Regional Flood and Coastline Committee is the Chairman of Transport, Economic Development and Infrastructure. The Island Partnership is Councillor Mrs Saville. And Councillor Molson in her absence.
With respect to 5.3, the AONB Joint Advisory Committee, given that that has downsized, I think it should just be the Chairman of the Planning Committee with the Vice Chairman to stand in if necessary, which would fit in with what other organisations have done. If members
you need
are
a
happy.
vote on that, Chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I propose that.
Thank you very much. Is that seconded? Thank you. Those in favour, please show. And then we'll take all the items.
Yeah, the others don't need appointment, Chairman.
Right.
It's just 5.6.
5.6. I know your wishes. Councillor.
Sorry.
I propose Councillor Saville.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
And me
Thank
in her
you.
absence.
Absolutely. That is also seconded, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Those in favour, please show.
Cornwall and Isles of Scilly Local Nature Partnership Board is the Chairman of Planning with the Vice Chairman in their absence. Local Management Committee of the Convergence Programme is the Chair of Planning Committee, Vice Chairman in their absence. Which brings us to ex officio annual appointments.
Yes, different.
South West Strategic Leaders Board is the Chairman of Council. The Local Government Association South West Region is the Chairman of Council. Local Enterprise Partnership Board is the Chairman of Finance Audit and Scrutiny, Vice Chairman in their absence. And then we have set appointments, and these again do not need appointments until we come down to...
Sorry, Chairman, can I don't mean to, well, I do mean to interrupt, that's exactly what I mean to do. But, respectfully, if we go back to 5.7, apropos of this afternoon's AONB meeting, we don't know if that's entirely true that the Chairman of the Planning Department automatically sits on the LNP. But also, for clarification, I need to establish that even if the AONB have had a meeting and decided that they think they should take over the position on the LNP, surely it's up to this council to decide whether the AONB should take over the position on the LNP. So we might be able to seize the opportunity now in full council to say, do we defer that to AONB on the understanding that AONB themselves are happy to take over that role? That would be my suggestion, and I'm willing to propose that.
Right, are members clear on what's being proposed? Yep. And in that case, is it seconded? Thank you, Councillor Mrs Saville. Those in favour of that? Thank you very much. Thank you. I do think the general point is extremely valid about tidying up these positions and rationalising, and to that end 5.8 is defunct in any case.
Is it? Thank you. One less. The set appointments, there is no appointment. There is, yes, I need Isles of City Museum Trust.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. I completely forgot to declare an interest. If you're going to do that one, I will leave the room. I am very sorry. So, are we dealing with all of them or one by one?
I'm just going to deal with the ones that need an appointment,
Right,
Chairman.
in that case, I shall... Can we wait for the Vice Chair to...
Shall we move on to
Councillor Mrs Grottick.
7.8?
Sorry for interrupting, but please could we address 7.3? There are 2 vacancies on the Edward MacDonald Trust.
I didn't think there were.
Now, I would imagine, as I sit for the council, that it would be a good idea to ask the community to have more involvement in this trust, because it is for community purposes, and I would very much welcome that. But it's possibly correct that we actually ratify that decision, Mr. Burrison.
That's correct.
As far as I'm aware, Chairman, there were no appointments required to this, and I'm sorry that you did not make me, or I was not aware, the Trust did not make me aware that they had vacancies. So, how many vacancies are there?
There are currently, I believe, 2 vacancies. We have been trying our very best, and I think probably a more formal advertising would actually, hopefully, bring in the required results. We have just had a new chair in Canon Perrin Gay, who has taken over, so I'm sure he would help the rest of us move forward on this one.
Sorry, Chairman. If members agree, I'm quite happy to make a formal advertisement and bring it back to council.
Thank you. I am going to leave the Vice Chair of Council to take this item, and I'm going to go out while we... Well, it's on this, because I've got to... I'm going to leave during the...
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah. Item 7.5, Isles of Scilly Museum Trust. Now, we have one trustee appointed by council, currently vacant. I don't know, have you any wishes? I'm not...
This has actually been vacant, Chairman, for something like 3 years, I think.
Yes, the person who knows about this has just left the room, really. This is the problem, isn't it?
You can leave it vacant and I'll bring it back to members again.
Well, if it's been vacant for a little while, I assume...
There's absolutely no reason why you couldn't appoint somebody from the community, and members may wish to think about that between now and the council in August.
Councillor Mumford.
Would it not be a good idea if we could find out a little bit more about what the job is?
There is a website attached to this that you can click on.
I think it would be difficult to appoint somebody.
Can I propose that we just defer this appointment?
Yes.
We've got a by-election coming up, somebody who stands, who may get elected, may be perfectly suited to this post and express an interest in doing so.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Would anybody like to second Councillor Neill's motion?
Yep.
All those in favour? Against? Okay. Well, okay, that brings us on to item 7.6, which the Chairman of Council can deal with, I believe.
The next one that requires appointment is 7.8, Cornwall Partnership NHS Foundation Trust. Require governor, as Councillor Mrs Grottick has resigned this post.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Grottick.
Can I nominate Councillor Daly for this role?
Councillor Daly. Thank you. Is that a second? Seconded by Councillor Mrs Saville. May we just inquire whether Councillor Daly is happy to be nominated? Thank you. Are there any further nominations? No. In that case, those in favour, please show. Please show clearly. Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. So we shall go on to item 16, the appointment of registration returning officer, presented by Mr Boriston.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just wait for Miss Pritchard to leave the room if she has an interest in this matter. Thank you, Chairman. As members may or may not be aware, I'll be leaving. I'm currently the returning officer for the Council of the Isles of Scilly, and will be departing the Council as of July this year. One of the functions that needs to be filled as a result to ensure continuity is that of the returning officer, who has responsibility for managing elections and ensuring their proper conduct. Now, Miss Pritchard, the electoral registration officer, is presently the deputy returning officer, and I would suggest and submit to councillors that she take on the position of local returning officer in the intervening period until an alternative arrangement can be put in place.
I would propose, I propose that.
Thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Mrs Mumford. Thank you very much. There are no further comments. Those in favour, please show clearly. Thank you very much. Perhaps we could ask Mrs Pritchard to return. Agenda item 17, the medium-term capital programme 2016-2021, presented by the Senior Manager for Finance and Resources, Mr Barrett.
Thank you, Chairman. This is an item that's been presented by the FAS Committee to this full Council for approval. Members put together and adopted a corporate plan in the summer of last year. This capital programme that sits before you is a programme that delivers that corporate plan in its entirety. The programme here is a list of all projects that have been put together by the senior managers and members to deliver that plan. It, as has been said on several occasions, is a preferred list, if you like. It is not the commitment of the authority for every single item. I reiterate that all parts of this capital plan, as put together in the Appendix 1, will be brought together to the relevant committee with a business plan for approval in the future. I don't think I have any more to say than that, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Daly.
I've got a question, Chairman. I see we have borrowing as part of that capital plan.
Could you bring your microphone closer, please? I think we'll all hear better if you do.
Right, I'll take these off, as I deafen myself. Borrowing is part of this capital plan, and we have to set a balanced budget. Can a budget be described as balanced if it includes borrowing?
Mr Barrett, would you like to take them?
In a simple answer, yes, it can, yes. It's borrowing that's over a medium to long term. It's a prudent approach to delivering these capital items.
Is there then any limit to the borrowing? I mean, we could go up to a couple of million quid and spend what we like.
I believe our prudential indicators, which were approved by Council back in March, I don't recall what exactly they are. I think the 500,000 is our operational limit.
Right. Thank you.
Have you got any further comments?
I have, yes. I was just making way for other members if they...
Right, okay. Councillor Dorian Smith.
Happy to propose the approval of the 5-year capital programme.
Thank you. Councillor Sims, seconded. Thank you. Councillor Mrs Saville.
Chairman, I was going to propose this, but I would like actually to thank the Senior Manager of Finance and Resources and anybody else who's contributed to this report. I think it really is a great improvement to the one that came to the FAS meeting, and really much more helpful to members, and I thank him for that. So thank you, and I would support the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Grotty.
I'm sorry, Chairman, I wasn't fast enough putting my light on, but please may I make a contribution before we move to the vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm afraid I still have some grave reservations about this particular programme. Although we do have more information, most councillors have come very late to the table with regard to the Smart Islands project. It has to be affordable, deliverable, and not compromise on service delivery. I am sure that there are many aspects of the Smart Islands project which are indeed laudable, but I still remain unconvinced that given that we were criticised in audit for certain aspects of the management of capital programmes, and given that we are currently facing a grave budget shortfall and having to make severe service cutbacks possibly in response to the need for a very, very large savings programme, which is considered to be over 4 million in the next 5 years, I'm afraid that I still think we should be asking for more detail. I think that asking for more detail is not negative, we're just taking a responsible stand with regard to public money. I can risk my own money, that's being an entrepreneur, and I've been in business and I understand that. But I feel currently that I am being asked to be an entrepreneur with public money, and I'm afraid I'm not in a position to be I'm not in a position to do that at the moment, and I wanted to make the reasons for my not being able to support this programme at the moment clear to colleagues. I have given it a great deal of thought.
Thank you. We've noted those comments. Are there any further comments around the table? Councillor Daly.
Yes, yes, Chairman. I find with all these budgets we get some of the stuff we would need to know and not all. Now, I think members need to know what is the aim of the spending in capital and revenue, or what saving it is, and how it will affect the service. 2, in case of spending, we need to know exactly where the money is to come from. Is it from a reserve or revenue or what? Exactly how this will advance our corporate plan. And budget holders must have this information, and they need to communicate it to members in writing, which I think to this stage we never have had. I also want to add, now that we only have 2 committees, 2 working committees, there is a dearth of information for members. And I would suggest a monthly newsletter with contributions from budget holders to keep members up to date with developments, plus more informal meetings, perhaps opening up the chair's briefings. Since helping Councillor Grottick in this respect, I've found out an amazing amount of facts that I had no idea was going on. And I think members really need to know this. So those are the 4 comments that or 5 that I want to put before we vote on this. We're given a figure of 2 million for the Smart Island, and I gather some of that is to come from certain specific reserves, and I think we ought to know what those reserves are and how much is coming from each place. And in the auditor's report, it said that we're going to make savings of over £4 million. Now, as far as I know, we've never heard where those savings are going to come from and how they will affect services. And I think these are the sort of things, as members, that we need to know.
Thank you, Councillor Tracy. Councillor Mrs Saville.
Yes, Chairman. Just to reiterate something that the Senior Manager for Finance and Resources said in his introduction, each of these individual spends will actually come forward to the appropriate committee, obviously with further information and monetary information. I mean, we have a sample here of the Mundersley heating. That has already been through committee, the money has been allocated. We really need to be able to get on with some of these capital programmes for the benefit of our community. And as that has already been through committee, others will follow, other expenditure or other capital programme will be brought to the appropriate committee. And if we, unless we approve this here today, we all come to a full stop when it comes to capital programme. And that isn't to the benefit of our community, I'm sure. We have to have the trust that as chairman of committee, ensure that further information comes to the appropriate committee and the appropriate decisions answered, questions answered and the appropriate decisions made. This is not in absolute detail. Capital programme has never been presented in absolute detail. This is rather a broad brush where we are hoping to be. And certainly reserves are actually highlighted in the finer documents that we have got before us tonight. And certainly the housing reserve, etc., it is all in there. So I really do commend to members to approve this, so actually we can move forward as a council and deliver.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sims and then Councillor O'Neill. I'm sorry, you had your hand before.
I sort of forgot what I was going to say while
Right, well,
Christine was talking.
if you can't remember, then I'm going to Councillor O'Neill.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I too have some concerns and reservations about elements of this report, but I do think it's a much better standard than the one at the previous meeting. I completely agree with Councillor Saville on that. But I also agree with Councillor Saville that whilst there needs to be ongoing scrutiny of each step of this procedure, that should work its way through the natural democratic process in the committee structure. I hope the answers to my questions will be forthcoming at the appropriate time. But whilst I am concerned about some elements of it, I'm not prepared to stand in the way of it today. I think we need to be moving forward in order to achieve some positive outcomes for the community.
Thank you. In that case, I propose to take the vote. It's been duly proposed and seconded. Those in favour of approving the 5-year capital programme, please show clearly. Thank you. Just could you maintain your hands just while the vote is taken, please? Counted. No, it's not. No, it's not. Thank you. Those against, please show clearly. Thank you.
Please record my vote against.
Please, could we record the vote of Councillor Mrs. Grottick? Thank you. Any abstentions? No, thank you very much. We move on to agenda item 18, the pay policy statement. I think there are people who wish to leave the room, are there not? Yeah, I was really...
Okay.
I think we're just going to give the officers time to leave the room, apart from the two who have to be here. Goodbye. Yeah, thank you. So it's the pay policy statement for 2016-17, presented by the Senior Manager for Finance and Resources, Mr. Barrett.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a document that's required to be brought annually to full council under the Localism Act 2011, setting out some of the pay constraints that the council operates for its officers. This has been refreshed, although there have not been significant changes made to it. We're currently awaiting the formal notice of pay award under the NJC rates. Once that has happened, I will endeavour to bring this document back to full council for reapproval, pending that amendment. Also not included in here are any ramifications that fall out of the savings plans that were approved in the March full council meeting. As soon as they have reached a point requiring consultation or otherwise, a subsequent pay policy will be brought back to full council for adoption.
Councillor Sims has just realised he should leave the room too.
Subsistence allowances have been uplifted as well to mirror those that were awarded to members in the March full council additionally. No further items to say on that, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mrs Grotty.
Yes, I don't know whether it's appropriate to ask or in how much depth we should discuss this, but it says employees may question the pay elements and the reasons why these are not consistent with the Green Book. I mean, is it relevant to ask why they're not consistent with the Green Book? The presumption seems to suggest that it's normal for the Green Book to be followed. Is that correct?
That is normal the case. There are occasions when they're either by local agreement or otherwise there are exceptions to the Green Book. But I can't think of any of those items at the moment. Yes, generally the Green Book is followed. Generally the Green Book is followed for all elements of the pay policy.
But we don't, is that right?
We do, yes.
It's only in the case if there are inconsistencies.
Yes, 4.5 seemed to suggest that we were being a little bit inconsistent, and I was interested as to why that was so. But if it's
possibly the way it's phrased. It's only in the case if there are.
I see. Fair enough. Okay.
Councillor Mrs Saville.
Yes, Chairman, just one quick question. 5 out of 7 working. Obviously, it's out to consultation at the moment. When are you hoping for that consultation and to be completed? And I obviously welcome, and I guess our next council meeting, end of July, beginning of August, that we do have a review of where we are with the savings on the decision that was by members in March. I think it's important that we do have an update whether savings have been achieved or otherwise. But my real question is when does that consultation finish, and when will you be able to close that one down and say yes or no?
Chief Executive.
Shall I answer the question? Thank you, Councillor Saville. Following the adoption of the 12-point saving plan, one of the actions was to re-look at the terms and conditions of employment for all staff. The original consultation around 5 and 7 was completed by the end of February, the consultation process. In order to wrap the whole review together, we've put this on hold, and that will be taken forward with the wider review as part of the savings plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further?
Proposed, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Is that seconded? Councillor Owen Smith, thank you. Those in favour, please show clearly. Thank you very much. That's carried. Nobody against. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Mrs Saville. And then we move on to agenda item 19, when everybody has had a chance to return to the chamber. Right, thank you very much. Agenda item 19, the Community Fund, the Senior Officer for Democratic and Licensing.
Thank you, Chairman. The application comes before full council because Finance Audit and Scrutiny asked for it to do so because they were concerned that there was an element that might be viewed as being contributing to somebody's personal gain. And I spoke to the applicant, and at 213 he's made a further statement which I think clarifies the position a little, and I think is helpful to members. I have also suggested that at 3.5 members may also like to invite the applicant to attend the next meeting of the FAST committee in November at the end of the season to submit his account showing that no personal gain was achieved. He isn't aiming at that. He isn't aiming at a personal gain after the fairly extensive costs have been paid. And I think that might help to satisfy members that they have not actually contributed to a personal gain.
Right, I think that, how can I phrase this? I was reluctant personally to support a book being sold because that was obviously being sold for profit. However, I would be really reluctant to live in a place where we didn't trust people and that we felt it necessary to spell out as in 3.5. So I personally am happy not to include that and just take on good faith what somebody tells us. I don't know what my colleagues around the table would think. May I know your wishes? Councillor Neil.
Chairman, I'm still of the view that I was in the Finance Audit and Scrutiny meeting, and that is that if there is any potential at all for even a single pound to be made directly or indirectly off the back of this, I don't think it's appropriate for community funds. The fact that anybody can present a business case that shows it's made no money just means it's a bad business. Shouldn't be funded by the community. That's my personal view.
I don't think the...
I propose refusal.
Sorry, did the administration officer, would you like to add something?
I was going to say, I don't think the aim is business. I think the aim is purely to demonstrate the use of the tower and endeavour through that to find a use for it in the future so that it doesn't become a totally redundant building.
Yes, but if it potentially generates income in any way, shape or form for the applicant, which it has the potential to do, unlike, say, the Christmas lights.
Okay. Councillor Mrs Grottick.
Thank you, Chairman. With respect to Councillor O'Neill, I think there is another side to this, and that's that it could be quite an interesting contribution to the tourism mix. It's a part of our history, and I think we should celebrate that. It's very interesting. It's a bit quirky. Whether I cannot think that it would be to generate so much interest that the applicant is in danger of making a profit. In fact, I think my personal view is he's probably in danger of making a loss. I can understand why we wouldn't want to, if you like, rob the community fund or deplete it for too much. So might I make a proposal that we make a contribution of £1,000 towards this project, because it's quite a big project, and I think if it is to succeed, it will cost the applicant quite a lot of money. But on the other hand, I really do think it could be quite an interesting project. We already have the book, and I understand the chairman's views on that, but in a way, having that book shows the commitment. The research has been done, the background work has been done, and I think it would not be unreasonable for us to contribute £1,000 to a project that might be quite an interesting, something different for people to visit on a rainy day, for example.
Thank you. I'm going to take Councillor Guy and then Councillor O'Neill, because that's the order the lights came back on.
I believe, Chairman, you've got a proposal for refusal, and I would like to second it.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill.
I was only going to just add a further comment, Chairman, that I'm not trying to be miserable or not community spirited, but I'm more concerned about the future and setting a precedent. When issues, for example, I've already stated the Christmas lights come before us, nobody hesitates. It's a unanimous decision for approval. The fact that that isn't the case for this means that there's an element of doubt. And if there's an element of doubt, I don't think we should support it. I personally believe that another fine restaurant on the island would also be an asset to tourism, but I don't think we should be funding that from the community fund either.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Daly.
Chairman, I'd like to second Councillor Grottick's proposal.
Thank you. Can I have any further comments from around the table? We've got two opposing motions which have been proposed and seconded. I shall be taking them in the order in which they've come, but Councillor Mrs Saville.
Chairman, currently I don't feel as if I can support either motion, to be honest with you. I think I would like to support this to a certain level, but I think £1,000 is possibly rather too generous, considering what it's only 3,000 total in the community fund, of which we've already issued 1,000. A to the Christmas lights and B to I think the Isles of Scilly Folk Club. So I could support somewhere in the region of 750 or 800.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Grottick.
I'm happy to amend. I mean, we should compromise, and you know, if Councillor Saville agrees 750, I'm very happy, subject to my seconder's approval, to reduce the commitment to 750, which would at least perhaps be a help. Can I ask Councillor Daly if he'd be comfortable with that? Right.
Well,
Then
nonetheless, I still intend to take the proposals in the order in which they have been established.
Chairman, can I also just request that if this should be approved and the project goes forward, if I start to be sworn at in semaphore unknowingly, could somebody translate for me because I don't have a copy of the book?
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. So, if there are no further comments, then I intend to take Councillor O'Neill's proposal to reject this application, seconded by Councillor Guy. So those in favour of rejecting this application, please show. Clearly. Okay, so those in favour of accepting the application, please show. No, we haven't got there. I'm just finishing this for and against of this, and then I'm going to take the next one. Thank you. Anybody abstaining?
Yes.
Thank you. Right, now we move on with Councillor Mrs. Grottick's amended proposal that we would give the sum of £750 to this project. Yes? That's right, and that has been seconded by Councillor Daly. Those in favour of that amended proposal, please show clearly. Thank you. Those against, please show clearly. 3. Those abstaining.
Chairman, can I just ask for clarification from the Vice Chairman why he abstained in the first vote and then voted in the second one?
I haven't made my mind up, frankly.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Are we quite clear on the level of the votes there? Thank you. So that was, the result of that was what?
7-3.
Thank you very much. That concludes the reports that concludes the reports in part 1. There are no reports in either part 2 or part 3. I thank you very much for attending the meeting and hope you have an enjoyable rest of the evening.